Hello, it's Josh here from racingtoprofit.co.uk. I hope you can hear me. As with last week, I'm going to record a video looking at one of the feature handicaps from this week, which this time round is the Cambridgeshire on the Newmarket Rolly course. I will try and keep this a bit more snappy, shorter than last week's video, but quite a few of you, around 450 or so, watched some of it. If you didn't watch that, or if you did, just a quick recap. The idea of this video isn't necessarily to present my own opinions, but very much to talk through the race, preview it in a way using the tools I use that will help you try to solve the puzzle yourself and hopefully land on the winner. I have been through this in quite some depth, so I'll touch on some of the horses as we go. I'll touch on some of the trends and jump over to horse race base with various other things as well. So yes, let's crack on. I'll go through various things. It's best probably watching it with a notepad and pen if you so wish, because you might want to pick up on various different things, and of course you can pause the video at any point you wish and highlight different things. As always, I'm in the main set of tools I use, especially for race cars, the excellent GG's Gold. We've got obviously the race card here, and I'll flick through some of the various different symbols and things in a moment. The first thing I'll jump to is the Instant Expert. This highlights what the horses have done and achieved to date in their careers against the different race conditions, which you can obviously set as you please. I think as I jump over to the BHA site, this was updated at 8:22 AM on Friday morning. I'm recording this at 10 to 10. There's been a bit of rain around. It's good to soft in places. I'm about 10 miles away and it's brightened up. So we shall see if it's the same kind of in Newmarket. There's going to be the odd shower. I would hope that this isn't going to turn into a bog. I'm basing it kind of on what it says there, good to soft in places. Maybe it will go good to soft all over. The racing this afternoon and the times would indicate more. The going sticks at this stage would suggest the far side is riding quicker, 7.0 than the stand side. Whether that plays out as the race on Saturday for the big race, we shall see. So that's that. Good through to good to soft. We've got the distance here. I might just put that up to 10 furlongs. It's a unique distance, obviously 9 furlongs. You obviously need to be able to stay, which isn't a problem. But of course, there are plenty of horses who have raced kind of over 8 furlongs or so, or never won over 10 furlongs or further, that improve for the nature of this race. As with touching on the Ayr Gold Cup last week, these races are unique in the sense that they can go a hell of a gallop, and I'll touch on the pace map shortly, and that sustained Class 2 big field heritage handicap pace is something that some horses have been crying out for, and it's where improvement can come, especially on the back of small field races where they've dawdled and then sprinted, and some horses just relish that pace because it allows them to settle, drop their head, and some of them have a competitive nature where they like running through horses. So the nature and the setup of these races can really suit some horses, which is why it can pay to focus on those that have experience in similar conditions and have ran well in similar races before, but also watching videos, I suppose, of horses who travel strongly through races. Might take a little while to pick up and are running on in kind of slowly run affairs. Those strong travellers can be worth noting for when being thrown in to a race such as this. The first thing I kind of look at and ask, I suppose, as with last week, is what horses are well handicapped. Now in a race like this, you have a lot of unexposed horses, and I think I'm just about get them all in the screen here, can't I? You get horses still making their way up the ladder who are higher than their last winning mark but have not hit their ceiling as yet, and I suspect there's a few in this. But if you look at the likes of Sir Busker, now 15 pounds above his last winning mark, he keeps going up for running cracking races, cracking efforts in decent races. Montatham's £5. You know, you can go down here, pause this video if you want. You've got the likes of a Fark, who's now well handicapped against his last winning mark, but has some questions arguably over his current form, and open to attack from something working their way up the handicapping scale. Yeah, and you can kind of go through here and see King Carney's £18 above, but I don't think that he's likely racing Unexposed, and that's due to that's kind of a mark from a listed win, I think. And yeah, I mean, you can go all the way down here. There's nothing necessarily chucked in. Anything today is £2 below last winning mark. That type of horse, I mean, we can make a judgment on his record here. He's 0 from 17 in Class 2, but yeah, I suppose I want these videos to highlight some things which may be useful for you moving forward. And as a well handicapped horse against their last winning mark, anything today would be one, and that's the kind of horse you may want to throw in a tracker, because he might be the type that will kind of find a race, a less competitive race than this, and you know that he's handicapped to do so. That also goes for Good Birthday, £5 below his last winning mark. I'll touch on him when I try and whiz through some of the horses. He was third in this race last year. Sylvester Sousa is riding at Chelmsford on Saturday. This is a King Power horse. He can ride the weight, and he would have had the option of riding this in one of the most kind of biggest pots, handicap pots of the season. So whether there's anything in that or not, he doesn't look in the same form as he was last year when he ran a cracker in this. But the fact he's run well in this race before, he's actually £8 lower than that effort, might be one of those biggies who might outrun their price if returning to some sort of form. Who else have we got? Kryptos, well handicapped against last winning mark. Zhu Feng, I mean, when you're looking at £20 below, that may suggest a horse that's regressive and hasn't run very well for quite a while. But again, some indication that if his legs are slowing down, he might drop through the classes and find something at some point, and they'll find his level again, and he may be well handicapped to run well. So if I just yeah, we've got the ground conditions, we've got class. I suppose I could put that up to Class 1 for the odd rare Class 1 handicap. That's kind of all their form. That will include non-handicaps and maidens. And again, yeah, you can kind of see, and like I said, pause that amber and green is good. I should say, I think Gigi's, because of the way the data is kind of transferred from, I forget where they get it from, the Racing Post or whoever supplies the Racing Post. I think all the data for Newmarket combines both the July course and the Rowley, and that's something to bear in mind. But yeah, I think some of this form is for kind of both tracks, and they are kind of part of the same course, but obviously slightly different layouts and undulations and everything else, although both kind of have a dip and then a climb to the line. So plenty of similarities also, but that's just a point on the side. But yeah, you can kind of see the horses that are proven in conditions, and of course there are horses that might be open to attack, or that, sorry, will improve for running in these conditions. But there's different ways to play this game, and many will focus on handicaps probably less competitive than this, which may be quite wise, especially those open to horses 4-year-old and older, 4 years old and older, looking at those proven in conditions that are kind of below last winning marks, which is a kind of not a bad strategy, I suppose. But you can see the likes of Data Protection has done well in conditions, now £4 above last winning mark. Balgair's kind of got some okay form, especially at this track. Actually, class would be the question, but I can touch on him in a bit also. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can pause this and look through yourselves and see who's ticked the boxes, including field size, which may be important. Those that have proven form in a big field is never a bad thing at this kind of level. I suppose 12 to 15 through to 16 plus, so 12 runners and higher and more, you can see there. And if I just, that's the win stats, if I put the place stats on here, I mean, you can see there is a lot of amber and green there, suggesting plenty of these horses have run well in conditions. And as you may expect for a race like this, it looks very, very competitive, and no one would surely be stupid enough to want to play in it. Oh, but the puzzle's so hard, and it's such just keeps enticing me and lures me in. I know those of you watching this may enjoy the same challenge of trying to solve these rather difficult puzzles week to week. Hopefully what I'm rambling on about may help. So that's the Internet Expert. Obviously you can use that in any way you please. It's competitive. There's quite a few that are run well in similar types of races. Like I said, the main question I suppose we can look at is what horses are well handicapped and may still have room in their mark. And obviously those that are working their way up the ladder, you can look at their profile. To a point, you're looking at the races they've run in, the horses they've beat, how they've won, the Racing Post ratings they've achieved. If we take the favourite, maybe it's as simple as him, but you have, you know, he's very lightly raced. He was half fit, I think, when he won at Newbury, which was a decent effort. Both of these races have been a crawl and then a sprint, really. He cruised through that Ascot race and kind of put it to bed fairly well. I'm not 100% sure what he's beaten there. If there is a potential group horse in this race working their way up the ratings, it could very well be him. I think he might be drawn on the right side for chasing the sustained pace, which I'll get on into a moment. His RPR of 105 would indicate, and that was off a mark of 93 last time, 97 today. Of course they'll kind of readjust him for the race, but some indication that he's well handicapped, as obviously, like I said, his profile would indicate as well. The question is, he's got to prove his stamina. He'll like the drop of rain has fallen. And he's got to prove himself in a race where they will go a thunderous pace. But it could be he is one of those types that will absolutely relish the setup, and that's the reason for why he could improve. He's 6-1 for a reason. I think in a race like this, in my head, that's short enough maybe, but I can see him why he's 6-1. He should run a big race, and on everything we know, he's the one to beat. Historically, in this, for any of you that have flicked through my kind of trends report and stats that's on the blog post, horses that have had 0 to 2 runs this season haven't done very well. But of course, we had a kind of shortened season this year by kind of 5 to 7 weeks, starting at in kind of the 1st of June. So this might be one of those years where that doesn't matter as such, because he may have had 3 runs by now. Who knows? So that's him. I should touch on pace, obviously, which is important. Now, if I just get the graphic and sort by the draw here, now I've got this on good through to good to soft, I should, so I can change the going. I mean, there's 8 races in this sample from, you know, over this distance, 16 runner plus. In these conditions, being held up right out the back is difficult, but you're kind of being led prominent mid-division, depends on the pace they go. If I switch the draw, so this is so high, which is going to be stand side. So if you were looking down from the far side or across, or looking at it from straight on, these would be to your right. These are going to be the far side, kind of to your left as you look at the stalls. So these will be on the far side of the TV screen as you look, drawn in 1. And yeah, if I kind of look at this pace map, you can see from like the high drawn, Majestic Dawn likes to get on with it and has first time blinkers on, so might blast out. Data Protection went mad last time and went far too hard, I think, but I think they'll try and kind of race him prominently also. Tempest might be in the perfect spot, just tracking those two in between. The sustained pace, I mean, Zhu Feng can get on with it as well, so can Yu Hired. Bear Force 1 can be up there, so it could be the sustained pace is kind of from 15 through to 29. The stalls are in the centre. There's normally kind of 30 to 35 runners in this, 34, 35. There's kind of 5-6 fewer this time. Not quite sure what difference that can make, but it might mean being out on the wing, for example, isn't as bad as it has been in the past, although from looking at all the draw stats and all the draw data, which I won't go into this time, I don't think there's much to be put off from a simple draw factor. But yeah, looking at pace, there's kind of high and there's some pace pushers here. A Fark might be up there as well. Of those drawn low, you've got quite a few prominent, but without kind of really going hard, bar King Carney, who does like to get on with it, can be a bit fresh, can be a bit keen. So he might try and drag the lows along. Will he be able to stay there? That's one of the questions. Sabuska will be hoping they go hard. So will Sanjari, given how he raced last time, possibly. Montathan will probably track the pace. They might all just kind of shoot over and merge. If you watch kind of last year's renewal, obviously you get the bunch up the near side rail, or kind of going up middle to stand side. So it could be all of these. They won't dart to the far side rail, I don't think. I think they'll kind of come up middle to stand side. I could be wrong on that. Maybe an enterprising ride if one of them judged the far rail to be riding quicker and they kind of dart out and don't come to the middle, or don't move over to the middle. We shall see. That's one of the many parts of these complex puzzles to try and work out. But certainly maybe there's no excuse from pace, because there is some pace low. I would say the sustained pace is kind of high to middle, but then I kind of got that wrong in the Portland, and I've got it wrong in the Air Gold Cup last week. I think certainly draw, I thought middle to high would be the place to be. Silver Cup and Gold Cup, and turned out kind of, well, low certainly in the Silver Cup was fine. And I thought low to middle would do well in the Portland at Doncaster, certainly from a pace perspective. And high came out on top, or a high drawn horse won. So, you know, it is complex. Maybe the message from that, or the lesson from that, is to not be too dogmatic over pace and draw in these big field cavalry charges. There should be a lot of pace on. That's the main point. Maybe around here, maybe best to be. Who knows? But yeah, you can kind of pause that pace map. That's the kind of highs through to 11. So you can pause the video and do whatever you want and stare at that. And then you've got kind of those drawn. One, I can't fit them all on the same screen, upwards. So obviously, yeah, pick your horse. Those that normally lead and then prominently are there. So that's that, as I tick around the 17 minutes. Some of the other things we can flick through. The great thing about these race cards is you've got these kind of trainer form and the kind of angles here. You know, trainer jockey at the Newmarket tracks in the last year, 3 from 10, 7 places. I can tick on William Haggis's form here. They're going well again, 14 from 46, 21 places in the last 14 days. Loads of different information about, you know, stats over different things here that you can see. I think these are for the last couple of years. And so on and so on. Bell Rock, you've got Balding at the Newmarket tracks in the last year. Trainer jockey at the Newmarket tracks in the last year. Trainer jockey last 5 years. Andrew Balding, Austin Murphy. That's the kind of thing you can note down for the future. Also, you know, there's quite a few different report angles. Actually, I can click the different things. Yeah, I can click the report angles there. There's various different things for different trainers. I'm not going to talk through them all. Again, you can pause the video, stare, absorb if you want. Various different information there. So on and so forth. Different trainers in form as well. There's head-to-head records, all sorts. And yeah, what else should I look at? Yeah, let me just focus also on the form of, let me just get rid of some of these. Hold on. So yeah, you've got, I mean, some of you will be interested in yard form and trainer form, and maybe put some emphasis on that, so you can kind of see, like I said, with the course stats, I think they combine both the Newmarket tracks in this particular data set. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's the case. So just note that, I suppose, when looking through some of these. You can see the likes of Mr. Knight, 1 from 28 the last 30 days, some questions there. William Haggis, like I said, in form. Roger Varian's going at a decent clip as well, although they're performing a shade below market expectations, but nothing major. Andrew Baldings are going okay, especially when you look at the place stats, and that's always something to look at. Have a lot of the runners just been unlucky? You know, 45% of Haggises have been winning and placing in the last 2 weeks. That's pretty good. So on and so forth. John Gosden, is he ever out of form? Again, they've just been running very, very well. Does well at kind of everywhere really, but does well particularly at Newmarket tracks. Marcus Tregoning not so much in the last 5 years, but obviously a very good trainer. That might be down to the horses he's had, who knows. Roger Teals are going okay, decent form at the Newmarket tracks, and various other different snippets as well. Roger Charlton's not going too bad, although last 14 days 2 from 17. Are there chinks there to take on the favourite? Maybe, maybe not. He bolted up 22 days ago, so you'd like to think he's still okay. Charlie Fellows had a winner yesterday. Maybe they're about to burst back into life, having had a very quiet spell. Second start in the handicap stats could be better. So Michael Stout's in very good form, as you can see here, and they're going well. So on and so forth. Paul and Ollie Cole, not so much, but the place stats aren't too bad. They're not exactly loads of runners. Rafe Beckett's aren't going too bad, especially on the place stats side. You forget how many runners are in this race. 14-day form, Sidebins Aurors are going well. What else have we got? Yeah, Amanda Perrett's not so well, although again some more places in the last 14 days, so maybe a sign that they're going to burst into life at some point as the season ticks along. What else have we got? Ian Williams stats there, so on and so forth, all the way down. Anything else I want to highlight? Yeah, Amanda Perrett touched on, she's got 2 runners in this. So that's the kind of trainer elements that you might want to ponder on, and like I said, kind of rewind that and pause as I go along if you want. Some of the jockey information is always important as well, especially looking at trainer-jockey combo, so it's great for looking at these different factors as well. I suppose I just kind of flick through, as anything stand out. I mean, Balding Murphy touched on. Haggis Tom Marquand do okay, obviously. He gets first refusal on the Haggis horses these days, I think, provided he can ride the weight. Hills, you know, Gosden Dettori, I mean, just solid, obviously. Who else? Charlton Watson do okay. He's kind of mainly stable jockey as well. You've got Ryan Moore and Sir Michael Stout in the last year, only okay, 9% below market expectations. Maybe they're overbet a bit. Would you expect them to do better? Possibly. Beckett Bentley's fine. He's got a good record on the horse, which is another thing to look at, obviously, when looking at trainer jockey record. What record does the jockey have on the horse today? Bin Soror and Stefano Chershi, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. He's been doing well. He's quite well regarded, I think. If is he licensed or at the Marco Botti yard, possibly. But you know, various different other factors you might want to pause on, look at, ponder on further. Fellows, Turner, but you know, a few of those are Royal Ascot, or at least one of them is, if not 2, which isn't a bad place to have winners. So on and so forth. So you've got that various different information. So yeah, like I said, you can see kind of the green 14-13 indicates the trainers are going well, and the C's kind of 1s and 5 indicates that they have a kind of good course record, either the trainer or the jockey. So there's various different information that you can find there. I'm going to jump over to horse race base, and those of you who watched last time's video, you'll know the horse race base ratings are pretty decent. They do build up, and they're based obviously on what the horse has achieved, not so much potential, and so they're only ever a guide. But in races like this, you can obviously see the spread. I never think it's a bad thing having something in the top kind of, well, in these races, the top kind of 6 to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which I suppose would take you to those that rated 200 and higher. I'd never think it's a bad thing trying to make a case for at least one of those. I suppose you can see the favourites snuggled up there. you know, you might have ideas on certain horses already, but you can see the various different ratings. Like I've said before, if I was doing this for the Portland, the winner that day was kind of down here. So it isn't something to be stuck to necessarily, but trying to make a case for something in this kind of top bit, or the top kind of 15 maybe, isn't a bad thing. And these numbers can indicate that the horses down here have got quite a few questions to answer. And yeah, they can be a good guide, but only that. So, but again, you can look at those ratings and they're composed with various different factors. And yeah, you can pause that and use that video however you please if you want, in terms of looking at ratings and working your way through on whatever set of tools you use and trying to make a case. What else did I want to focus on? I know I've ticked on class before. So I mean, if I look at, yeah, you know, this is the classes or the horses have run at, and those that have kind of, not many have run at kind of listed or group level before. You've got kind of class 2 level. If I look at handicaps, you know, those with kind of class 1 and 2 handicap form, I mean, you can see that there. Like I said, the purpose of this kind of particular video is to for you to look at Lucanda, maybe 3 from 4 solid, yeah, and so on and so forth. And then you've got horses that are kind of unproven at class 2, these two down here, and haven't won yet at class 3 either, or class 3 either. So yeah, various different information there you can use and absorb. What do I want to focus on now? Yeah, 26 minutes. What's the kind of thing do I want to focus on now? I suppose if we kind of use what Nahar and Magical Spirit, was it the 2 winners of the Air Gold Cup, and the Silver Cup and Gold Cup, what they had was recent, within the kind of last 2 or 3 runs, wins where they won really well, suggesting that they were well handicapped and there could be more to come. They then followed that up with runs that weren't so good. Nahar then ran at Goodwood, having bolted up on his race before. Maybe made, I think Tom Marquand after admitted maybe made too much use of, ran too close to the pace, maybe didn't handle the track as well, but then kind of faded out of it, maybe having done too much, and he was ridden more patiently at Ayr, and you saw the difference there with a horse switched off in a big field, who can kind of get at it early, and has just swooped through late. Quite an incredible performance, as if he's possibly a group horse. But we shall see in time. And but that's an indication of what a strong pace can do to a horse and a race kind of like this. Magical Spirit then didn't run so well, I think. Had a wind up, had a break, came back from that break with a wind up, was held up, having been kind of prominently ridden before at Haydock, and just kind of ran through the field and ran a promising race. Second run after a wind up, having bolted up a bit earlier in the season and not won since, indicating he was kind of ahead of his mark. So with that in mind, I suppose there's the likes of Sinjari, who did kind of win comfortably last time, suggesting there's more to come, has gone up £8, 70 days off. Interesting, I suppose, but 1 run in a season on the back of that 70 days, maybe some questions. Is low going to be the place to be? I'm not quite sure. Al Rufa for John Gosden is interesting. I'm ticking around to 30 minutes, but hopefully you're finding this interesting. I'm trying to keep it as snappy as I can. He has to prove, I think the ground will be okay, provided it doesn't go a bog. I think good to soft will be okay. Since they held him up and put the hood on and switched him off, I mean, he has bolted up at Kempton, he bolted up at Newmarket, he bolted up at Newmarket July course. The races haven't necessarily worked out amazingly well, although they've produced a few winners, but on the figures, solid. That was a career best. He then ran at Haydock in a small field, properly soft. He never settled. They didn't go a pace at all. Jockey reported he ran a bit flat. Gosden and Dettori have won this for the last 2 years with a 3-year-old. And I just think that the pace, and he's in the right place given that pace map, the pace they may go at could see him take a big step forward again. He ran there at Newmarket off 97 as if there's loads more to come, and that possibly £8 105 may not yet have got to the bottom of him, especially with a really strong pace, Frankie Dettori's magic hands to switch him off. Whether he stays is the question, and you're kind of building that into price, but at the moment he's kind of 16 to 18, so he's one on my short list at a price. Given I still think there's more to come, given the trainer jockey, given where he's going to sit in the pace setup, is interesting, I think. You've got Tempest. He has won the last twice, as if there is more to come. Again, you're looking at price. Conditions will be fine. I think he'll stay, but that is a question. And going this thunderous Class 2 pace, I suppose, is a question for him also. But like I touched on earlier on, it could be a reason for why he improves. So he's interesting. Trainer jockey at the Newmarket tracks in the last year, decent. Obviously in the last 5 years, very good also, so some positives there for favourite backers. Is he worth a saver? Possibly, or you might be looking at this thinking he's definitely one I want to have a hefty each way bet on. I would be surprised if he ran his race if he was out of the top 5 or 6, but of course, like I said, he does have a couple of questions to prove, but they might be the reason for why he improves. King Carney from a pace, I mean, he's unexposed. I've got the odd question. He hasn't done too much. He was gelded after this Ascot run, so maybe he'll come on for that Newbury effort, and he was only half a length behind Tempest, but that was his first run in ages, and he's taken big steps forward. I don't necessarily think he'll overturn that form with the favourite, but he could come on for the run. I don't think he'll be able to dawdle. Anything will be able to dawdle on the front in this race, and he can over race a little bit. He was on my short list, but I'm kind of getting more towards on the fence, but William Buick's always a good jockey booking. He's more interesting than some, but does have a bit to prove. Derivo, I think 95 underestimates him. Mainly if you watch that Doncaster run back, he sliced through them as if he's got a lot in hand still. Possibly hit the front too soon. I have the odd question over his attitude. If there is a bit of cut in this, if him and Lucanda both run their race, is there a reason he should overturn that York form? I'm not quite sure. Interesting, but I'm there and thereabouts, but he's kind of tens, bit on the fence. Lucanda I like, just because he doesn't matter what the ground does, he stays very well. And again, you watch that win back there at York, off 94, did an RPR of 103. He's gone up £4. He finished that and hit the line hard, as if he hasn't finished progressing yet either. Of course, he needs to take us another step forward. Career high mark, it was a career high, career best RPR. That Strait of Hormuz, that Haydock form has worked out well. On that, you know, maybe York was the time to catch him, and I missed him, mainly because I was in a strop having had another bad day on the Friday. And I was like, oh, I'm taking Saturday off. That'll teach me. Because he hit the trainer jockey combo York stats as well for that meeting, which is annoying. Never mind. I know some readers use them to good effect and backed him. But that's an aside. But that looks like a horse you like. There could be more to come. The Niggles, he was withdrawn after that Haydock run. He was meant to run at Goodwood, I think, but wouldn't go in the stalls. That Newmarket effort, sluggish, and it can't have been the ground. I wonder if a kind of up and down track, or going downhill then a dip then up, if that's an issue. But again, you're looking at that price, and that's more of an unknown. So some tricky ones there. Well, there's the odd question, but he's going to get a pace to sit off here. He raced midfield at York, and he does respond for pressure. He likes winning. He's very consistent. I think there could be more to come. Beckett does well at the Newmarket tracks. He is interesting, I think. As is Dubai Mirage. He's another with that profile. He was gelded after this poor Ascot effort, which might have been down to the ground anyway, but they did geld him. He then bolted up at this Haydock race. Now, I'm not quite sure how that wasn't the best, but it was a 102 on the RPR. So, you know, some indication there that he's hitting career bests on those figures, which is, you know, a good thing if you're looking for a horse to still, whether or not he's still open to progress. That day he was drawn wide a bit. He's pulled a little bit, but they went a very strong pace. That's what interests me about this. They went a very strong pace, and he put in one of his best efforts. Sandown, they crawled, and they didn't go a very strong pace. He kind of sat in third. It turned into a sprint. He was caught for a turn of foot. He used a bit of energy. He was lugging 9 stone 11. He doesn't look visually the biggest necessarily, so whether or not that's the actual weight played a role there. He was up against some progressive horses there. I'm not 100% sure. You don't look at him and necessarily think his form and what he's achieved to date is up there with some of the others. That's probably the same to be said for the Gosden horse. But the way he won that race suggests that even off £10 higher, there could be more to come. He's got £5 claimers, and claimers have an okay record in this race. To take off £5 of that, he's going to get a much stronger pace to run at. The yard are going well and in form. And yeah, so there's some kind of interesting pointers there, and I suppose the other one that kind of, well, if I go down, this other haggis horse, interesting to a point maybe. Balguer, I think he wants really good firm fast ground. That was a career best, arguably on RPR. It definitely was on the top speed ratings. I think that's because for the first time in a while he got a race where they went a thunderous pace, and a really, really strongly run race. I wouldn't be shocked if he handles the ground, if he outran his odds into a place, but I would like to think, given he has looked a class 4 horse and he's 6 and he's had quite a few runs, that there'll be something with higher class in this. But he did bolt up 7 days ago. He's a horse clearly arriving in rude health. It was the amateur riders Cambridgeshire, but obviously that means the course and distance are fine. And he will get a very strong pace from this draw to sit behind. So of the bigger price ones who might outrun their odds into a place, he might be more interesting than some, but I'll leave you to take a kind of deeper look at that, I suppose. What else? What else? Well, I've kind of mentioned the 3 big horses that were inching their way towards my shorter list. Word You Buy Mirage, the Gosden Frankie horse, and Lucanda. Tempest, I think the chance is obvious, hence why is 6, as you're then judging price and each way places and savers and everything else maybe. Sabuska should relish conditions, but he's now on 111. You know, I re-looked at him, but he's £4 above them when running that cracker at York. I think this 9 furlongs may suit. The pace possibly, but he's drawn low. If he was drawn higher, maybe. You can see him running into the places, but surely off 9 stone 11, 111, there's going to be something with more in hand in this, I would think. I think that's possibly the same for Montatham. I think the Kappa's possibly getting grips to him. 5th position I don't really like. He's a bit of a monkey under pressure. He's got the odd question, but it's Vari and Azzini, this owner, they've won plenty of big handicaps. He was 8th in this last year of £4 lower. Yes, he's a year older, more experienced, but I wasn't 100% sure. Sinjari held him there. Enough questions for me, as did kind of Bell Rock to a point. I was trying to work out why he would suddenly improve, or where he's finding that improvement from with 60 days off. I think I've touched on a few of the others. The rest I didn't necessarily think were good enough. Like I said, Good Birthday was interesting, given if I just open him quickly, I'm ticking around at 40 minutes, but hopefully you're finding it interesting. Given his 4th in this last year, maybe he wants a strong pace to aim out of £8 higher, but he's done nothing this year. The RPRs haven't been great, the top speed figures haven't been great. SDS decided not to ride and go to Chelmsford. All of that makes me think he's got questions. He was running on last time. I wouldn't be shocked with this strong pace and given his form in this race last year, if he ran on to a place, but some questions about him this season. I could go on. I might not have mentioned the winner, of course. The purpose isn't necessary to go through all of these. The final thing I will do is touch on trainer records. So give me a moment. Yep, so in Horse Race Base, I can click on the View Trends, the Profiler tool. There's this query tool here, which you can then put all of these stats into the system builder. That's what I use to pull my kind of stats and trends together. You can look at paths, which I haven't highlighted. If I just look at the winners, you can look at some of the races that the horses have run in previously, but you can see there's quite a lot there. This profiler tool is for kind of the last however many renewals since 1997. When I look at the stats and use that V4 system builder tool to look at them, that can kind of look at the last 12 years, but you can kind of look at different things here within this different dashboard and pause as you please if you want. You can look at age, all various different things. There's not much on age really, given win percentages and place percentages. Obviously 7-year-olds and older have struggled and yet to win. There's not many horses have tried this race from ratings as high as some of them, but again you can see the various different things there. Top kind of 6 in the market have done all right. Top 14, you do get some big price winners in this. Days since run, 6 to 10 days has been a question of the last 12 years, but you look at the kind of 22-year record or whatever it is, and again that's quite even. There's no real reason to dismiss a horse from the days since they last ran. What else do we have? Well, yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on the trainers that you can kind of whiz down. Andrew Balding, 0 from 15, 2 places. Again, you're building this into the price. I kind of look at trainer records as a reason to be positive, not necessarily to be negative, especially when you're dealing with 14, 16 to 1 shots. To only be put off by the trainer record, only to see them bolt up, maybe kind of recent form. Of course, these races are very, very hard to win. Roger Charlton, who has a favourite, 1 from 10, 2 places. Mick Shannon's got the top weight. Surely he's going to find something better handicapped. Don't think Ed Dunlop's got anything in this. Brian Ellis, David Ellsworth doesn't. I don't think Fahy does he? Nor does Fanshawe. John Gosden, 4 from 22, 4 places, further enhancing any ideas on my Frankie shortlisted horse. If he stays, if he settles, and if he relishes the strong pace, I think he might do all of them, but the stamina may be the main question. Haggis, 0 from 16, 1 place. He has a 6 to 1 joint favourite. Is that enough to be put off, given the price? Yes, no, maybe, not sure. I'll leave that to you to decide. Barry Hill's obviously not training anymore. Charlie's taken over, only had 5 runners. What else we got? Mark Johnson doesn't have a runner, doesn't have a very good record in this. I don't think he has a runner, does he? Unless I've missed him. What else have we got? You can see the various different records. Meehan have won the race before, but no runners. Ishmael Mohammed, no runners. Huey Morrison's got an okay record, no runners. David O'Meara's got none, but you can see there. Samark, decent record, no runners. Saeed Bin Saror, 0 from 17, 2 places. Oh, is that enough for me to put off by Dubai Mirage? It niggles at me. Obviously, it niggles at me. He does have a couple of placed efforts, though. I'll maybe look back at his 12-year record, but he's a trainer in form. Maybe the horse is more important. He can obviously train, and he can obviously win races like this, and these kind of tests are very hard to win. Maybe he's had 17 horses that are too near the top of the handicap, etc. Marcus Dragoning's done well, 2 from 8, 3 places. He has an outsider who had a long time off and did nothing on their seasonal return. But yeah, you can kind of pause that and look at that. Maybe you want to look at jockeys. This video is going to be long again, but you know, it's there for those of you who want it. And yeah. So various different things. You might want to pause and look at jockey record. Dettori, 2 from 10, 3 places. That's the last 2 winners. Obviously, jockey's record in races like this very much, well, and generally to a point, depends on who they ride for. Obviously, and the types of horses they get on. So again, don't necessarily be put off by a jockey's stats. More maybe use it as a positive to enhance a case if you are making one for any particular horse. So yeah, with that said, I think as I tick around to 45 minutes, I've covered everything that I want to. And yeah, there's various different bits there you can pause on. I suppose I can finish on today's post Thursdays, and this will go up in Fridays soon as well, which I'll do after this. I've stopped recording this video. There's the various different handicap, or there's my pointers. I've applied some of the trends and a kind of basic profile, which leaves 10 there. And yeah, you know, you can look at various different things. These are only ever a guide. Trainer record there. Only 2 trainers to have won this race before have got runners, so maybe there's going to be a new name on the books, or Johnny G is going to win it with a 3-year-old for the 3rd year in a row. We shall see. So yes, I kind of had a working shortlist there that I looked at yesterday, but please obviously don't be put off. Never ever be put off by anything I say, obviously. If I help you make a case for something, even better. But like I said, the very much purpose of this video was to run through a few things and different things you can pause and different ideas, and also to a point, I suppose, showcasing the excellent GG's Gold tools, mainly because, like I've said before, you can all get a free account and access to a few races a day, including these race cards, various different free tools and stats, and there's a link for that below the video. If you really relish the idea of solving your own puzzle and using tools like this, you can take a 30-day trial for £1. That link is also below this video as well. But with that said, I hope this video, which I was going to try and keep to 20-25 minutes, is now 45 and longer than last week. I hope this video has been of some use. And if you pick something out or you fancy something, post a comment either in the post or on YouTube below the video, and I will wish you the best of luck. But hopefully I may have helped you land on the winner or on a decent price place horse if you play each way, which is the main aim of these videos. So yeah, hopefully you found them useful. If you have, do post a comment if you think there's anything I could improve on, or there's something I haven't touched on you think I should be. Yeah, do post a comment and let me know, and I will try and do better next time. I suppose I should finish. No, I will finish there. Those of you who watched last time know what these little arrows, that means a horse is down in class. So I'm just looking at these race cards and seeing different things. Al Ruffer's up in class, 2nd run in the handicap, 2nd run in the handicap, up in class, first time blinkers there, up in class. You know, these race cards make it very easy to see what things differently, what different things horses are doing from their last start, and whether that's a positive or negative. So with that said, I'm going to stare at this race some more, try and make a decision, and hopefully, fingers crossed, try and land on a nice prize winner would be very much welcome. But hopefully, if I don't, you definitely do. And with that said, have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. And this is Josh saying bye for now.